What's up? So today let's talk about the Mac Studio, and yes, I have it now in my home office for some time now, and that's why we definitely need to talk about it and why you should or shouldn't get one. So yeah, I actually have used my good old 2014 5K iMac for a long period of time, and it never let me down. It always helped me to get my work done. For me, it was the perfect all-in-one machine for photo editing, video productions, audio productions. It was a great and fast computer, including a really nice 5K screen. But of course, a couple of years later it started to cause some problems, especially in the in-depth photo and video post-production. As an example, it was really hard to edit the footage of my Canon R5 because it was just too much data and new codec files. And that led to the problem that I had to edit my Canon R5A roll muted, except for the audio, to make my cuts based on the audio. So yeah, that alone slows your whole workflow down and makes it way harder for you to get things done faster. So yeah, that's why it was necessary to upgrade my computer. And exactly that's why we need to talk about that a little bit. And let's start with the design. Basically, the Mac Studio is just a tiny little box that looks like the older brother of the Mac Mini. It got two USB-C ports and a SD card slot on the front side. And on the back side you can see some more USB and USB-C ports, an HDMI and Ethernet port, and last but not least the audio jack. The whole design of the Mac Studio is super minimalistic, and that's what I really like. And the Mac Studio version that I got is the one with the M1 Max chip, including a 10-core CPU, 24-core GPU, 64GB of RAM and the 4TB SSD. I personally got the M1 Max chip and not the M1 Ultra because in my opinion it's not worth it to spend €1600 more for this chip that you mostly won't need at all. Because everything that I mostly do, so photo and video editing and sometimes some audio productions, are already awesome with the M1 Max chip. Everything runs smoothly, I can even use those 8K files of the R5 in Final Cut simple and fast, and to be honest here, 8K is currently absolutely unnecessary for most videos. And even if you work with 8K footage a lot, you can still use the M1 Max chip. Of course, photo editing in Lightroom and Photoshop is great too. I absolutely like that my whole workflow is now way faster, and even the import and export time is now insanely fast. So especially for video editing, even this machine is just overkill. You absolutely don't need the M1 Ultra for some Lightroom and Photoshop edits. In this case you can easily use the base version here and you won't have any problems at all in the next couple of years. Another thing that I always need to mention is that most apps that I use all the time are loading way faster now, and that alone is great because you don't have to wait a couple of minutes until you can get started to get things done. But there's still even some downsides here if you use the M1 chips from Apple. Because yeah, there are a couple of plugins out there and they need updates for the M1 chips in general. For example, some of my Final Cut plugins can't support the M1 chips right now, and that is really annoying. I hope that most of them will get a new update soon, but yeah, some people might have some problems here, especially if you rely on a couple of plugins. So yeah, before you make the jump to the M1 chips, be sure that all important apps and plugins that you need to use support the new chips from Apple. Otherwise you might need to use a workaround method to get things done, so keep that in your mind before you buy such a Mac Studio. Another thing that I did was to get the 64GB RAM option because you can't upgrade the RAM later on. And I definitely want to use the Mac Studio for a long period of time, so that's why I think it's the best option to get 64GB here, just to be sure that everything is fine. And I also got the 4TB SSD because I have a couple of things installed on my computer and I definitely want to have enough internal storage next to my external hard drives. So that's why I decided to get the 4TB option here, because it's enough storage for a variety of plugins and apps. But this totally depends on your own workflow. If you don't use a lot of apps and plugins, you can easily pick a 1TB option for example and you're set. What I always recommend is to double check your current computer to see which one is the best option for you. But all in all I think 1TB should be the minimum here, just in case you need some more apps and plugins. But what's about the workflow? Well, everything runs smoothly. It is way easier now to get my video and photo productions done, and as I already mentioned, the Mac Studio is super fast and it supports all kind of apps that I use to make it as easy as possible for me to get started. I also really like the fact that there are a variety of USB-C ports and an SD card slot as well, so you don't have to use a lot of adapters all the time. Especially in combination with the Apple Studio display, it feels like a huge upgrade for me that I was looking for. So especially if you don't have one of the newer M1 Macs at home, the Mac Studio is one of the best options if you need a great computer for your home office desk setup. But yeah, all kind of other people who actually need crazy high-end computers will wait for the upcoming Mac Pro, and then they got everything that they need. And yeah, everyone else won't have huge problems with the current M1 Max or even M1 Ultra options. The M1 Ultra is just another step forward while the M1 Max is already overkill. So a good rule is if you don't really know if you need the M1 Ultra, you probably won't need it, and yes, in all kind of other situations the M1 Max is absolutely fine and the one that I can highly recommend to buy. In the end, all kind of apps like Final Cut, Logic, Photoshop or Lightroom, including a variety of plugins, are running smoothly on my Mac Studio, and that's what you need as a content producer like me. For me, it's not about any cool looking benchmarks, it's about productivity and if a product can actually help me to get things done faster, because that's what matters the most. And the Mac Studio in combination with the Studio Display makes that possible. So yeah, in the end, the upgrade from the 2014 iMac was absolutely worth it. The M1 Max chip is extremely powerful and I think it's in most cases the one that you need. Especially in this case, I would spend the money on additional RAM and SSDs or even a new monitor and not for the M1 Ultra. But yeah, this is my Mac Studio review. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're new here, don't forget to smash that subscribe button to stay updated for upcoming videos, and I'll see you in the next video.